KMT, TPP pass controversial measures. The Legislative Yuan yesterday passed bills proposed by opposition lawmakers that the ruling Democratic Progressive Party, DPP, described the legislative reforms bills as an unconstitutional abuse of power, while opposition parties said reforms would enable better oversight of the executive yuan. The legislature passed the amendments to the act governing the legislative yuan's power after a day of raucous debates and scuffles between the governing DPP and the Chinese Nationalist Party, KMT, and the Taiwan People's Party, TPP. The cabinet said it would send the bills back for another legislative review, while the DPP vowed to seek a constitutional interpretation. The reforms give legislators the power to ask the military, private companies or individuals to disclose information deemed relevant by lawmakers, and compel the president to give a State of the Nation address at the start of the annual legislative session, at which the president must answer lawmakers' questions, which would be a first in Taiwan. The bills also criminalize contempt of the legislature by government officials, and make changes to the criminal code that would impose a fine and jail time of up to 1 year for public officials who lie during a legislative hearing. There are concerns those powers could lead to leaks of sensitive information and punishments for those who refuse to answer questions. The opposition says that reform is needed to create a better balance of power between the executive yuan and the legislative yuan. It also says that the changes are in line with previous proposals by the DPP. The Chinese Nationalist Party, KMT, and its opposition partner, TPP, say the bills would create more transparency and make the government more accountable. Opposition lawmakers say that in the past officials have deliberately dodged their questions during regular appearances in the legislature, falling short in their duty to explain their actions and policies. The opposition wants the legislature to have the power to require government officials, the military, private entities and private individuals to provide witness testimony and documents to assist in probes. Individuals or entities that do not comply and officials providing false statements could be fined. The DPP and its supporters say the changes to the law amount to legislative overreach. They say the bill has been rushed though committees and their feedback ignored, an accusation the opposition denies, stating the bills all went through the committee, cross-caucus negotiations and public hearings. One of the DPP's chief concerns is that the bill could be weaponized to disrupt President William Lai's government. This could bog down the government in constant probes and possibly legal cases. Critics also worry it greatly increases the risk of confidential information being leaked. However, the opposition says such concern is a non-issue as any lawmaker who leaks information would be held legally accountable. Controversial.
具有争议的，引起争议的，带来争执的。
The legislative yuan.
立法院。
The executive yuan.
行政院。
Opposition. opposition,
坚决的反对、对抗、反对人士、对手在野党。
reform, reform,
动词改革、改进，名词改革、改进。
oversight, oversight,
监督、监管、疏忽、失察、疏漏。
amendment, amendment,
修改、修订、修改的法案、条款。
constitutional interpretation, constitutional interpretation,
释宪。
disclose, disclose,
公开、公告、揭露。
compel, compel,
强迫、迫使、逼迫他人做某事。
criminalize, criminalize,
将某事规定为非法。
contempt, contempt,
蔑视、藐视、轻视。
contempt of court, contempt of court,
藐视法庭罪。
transparency, transparency,
物体的透明性、透明，体制的透明度。
hold somebody accountable for something, hold somebody accountable for something,
某人须为某事负责，作出解释说明。
deliberately dodge, deliberately dodge,
刻意的逃避、闪躲。
entity, entity,
实体，具体且独立存在的实体。
witness testimony, witness testimony,
法庭上证人的证词。
probe, probe,
名词，调查、探索、探查、探测器。动词，调查、探索、探测。
false statement, false statement,
不实的、虚假的陈述、说明。
critic, critic,
批评者、反对者。影剧、书籍、艺术的评论家。